Welcome to another episode of The Practical Metaphysical Journey, the place where practical meets the paranormal, the mundane meets the metaphysical, and the spiritual meets the spooky. A place where we share the experiences of our journeys here on Earth. We encourage you to listen and see what resonates, because we're all different yet the same. We invite you to take a break with us, so unpack and stay a while. We're glad you stopped by for a visit. And now, part two of our episode on talking metaphysics.
Again, feel like a lot of people create conversations because they're curious and they're bumping up against whatever their experience really has nothing to do with my experiences, or even though that's what I'm sharing. It has nothing to do with that. It's something happened to them that we probably won't find out in the conversation that's giving them food for thought, later.
Yeah, there's a crack in the wall.
Yeah. Something's there.
Something's going on, yeah. And I was kind of thinking, well, in having these conversations, is it right to go up and just start the conversation, or do you wait till somebody asks you about it? Because as we've, kind of been saying, I think some of what we, getting to with this is, we can have a conversation. I'm not here to convince you about any of this. I'm talking about what I feel, what I have seen, and that type of thing. And if that resonates with you, that's great. So do you only talk about these things when somebody brings it up?
That's a good question.
I
don't feel like I go looking to have a conversation with someone. That sounds like being prophesizing or whatever. But probably most of the time someone's asked a question. But I imagine if I was out somewhere and somebody was, I don't know what the circumstance would be, but I would probably initiate as well.
If it comes up sometimes, I'll be talking about it, especially with my people at work who by now I've kind of gauged who they are and their reaction to things. And I've kind of set up my reputation with them too, so I can bring certain things up and they're like, oh, well, it's just Deb again. But, it's interesting. They gain a little bit of knowledge from some of the things I say. Or like when I started carrying my rocks around with me and taking them into work, and somebody asked me about it, and then a person came out of nowhere. He says, well, you know what I do? He goes, I go over to the swap market over there. I go once a month, and I pay the guy $25, and he takes all the curses off me for the month. Only $25? Wait a minute. Hold it. And that it is a firm belief of his that is what is happening. Now, I don't necessarily believe in curses and that type of thing. It's not my thing. But did I look at him and say, well, you're friggin' nuts. Prove it. Prove to me you had a curse on you, And, but no, it's like, you know what? That's firmly ingrained in him. Whereas he may not see like that I see or hear ghosts or anything like that. That's, too off the wall for him. This thing is very ingrained in him. And it's a cultural thing. He's from the islands, but that's his thing. And he goes and he feels cleansed afterwards, like he can get on with his life and no harm will come. And so, okay, I can't give you a hard time about that. It's interesting. Sometimes these things just open. They come through some sort of open door, like you said, a crack in the door, or somebody's peeking through, and it comes up.
That's what's happened for me. Is I get a feel for how if somebody would be receptive, to talking about it, or they'll see something. Like if they come to the house and they see some of the stuff, that I have. I have a crystal ball sitting in the one display cabinet. They'll ask, and that kind of gives me that open door.
Yeah.
But I don't go out and actively bring the subject up out of the blue. It just, and also, I go back and think about this, like psychic mediumship, that type of thing, or my belief of what a crystal can do or whatever. That's only a small part of the overall me.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't feel the need to go out and make sure everybody in the world knows that I can do psychic work.
Right.
Like that doesn't define me. That's just a piece of me.
Right.
So I don't have to go out there and announce that from the mountaintops. you know.
You're not wearing a big Flavor Flav red neon red hand on you that says I read palms. Yeah, and you know what's funny too? I think that, and I think I've noticed this when I've been out with you all, or even some of our other friends in the, not the biz here, but you know, in our belief system. Sometimes just by being there, things will happen that trigger other people to say, "Oh, did you just see that? Did you hear that?" And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that something is kind of using my energy to make itself known to that person. And it's interesting. And the other thing is too, working in the ER, when people die, and there's not a single person there that, no matter what their belief is, that doesn't think that, okay, something might be haunting because someone died there. And they can tell me all day long that they don't believe in any of this stuff, but they know enough, they're not going to go near that room, just in case. So they still think something's there.
Right.
But yeah, it's funny, I just noticed that different things come up in different groups of people, and I don't necessarily have to bring them up, but then I can speak on them or not, depending on, I think we're pretty good at judging where these things are going to go to. We're not going to walk into a group of protesters and say, "You need an amethyst." Calm down, you'll be fine. Have a clear quartz crystal, you'll be fine. But yeah, it's like one of the topics I had on here was speaking authentically with skeptics. I'm okay with skeptics. That's different, very different from hardcore non-believers who just want to, like you said, debate.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have time to debate on this thing. I'm not interested in a debate. If you want to have a debate, let's both sit down, do our research, get together, pull out our little 3x5 index cards, and have a go around.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll make my ghosts haunt you. So,
I was in a essential oil class one year, and there were a couple ladies in the class that, during the class I did not know they were very religious till we went to lunch. And I guess when we introduced ourselves, we must have said something about what we did, because they knew I was a Reiki practitioner, and I was like a fairly new practitioner too. This was like 2009 maybe, somewhere around there. And we went to lunch, and we no more than sat down. They sat across from me, and they started peppering me with questions about, so you're Reiki? And just the look on their face, I was like, uh-oh,
Yeah.
And they did not believe in it. They thought it was kind of blasphemous kind of thing, and started going down that route. And I just started saying, well, that's not been my experience. This is my experience. This is my experience.
Yeah.
And because I was so new, I think I was, maybe I was a little naive,
Yeah.
But I just thought, I'm not going to defend this. Like you said, I did
Right.
all the things that we talked about. I kind of did all the things. And on this side of them and this side of them were other girls that were Reiki as well. And so when I would give a response, they'd be shaking their heads like, yeah, good, like they'd be reinforcing.
You were their spokesperson.
Yeah, and when I got done with that, basically they were worried that it was from the devil and that I was bringing through bad energy. And I said, well, again, you don't know me, but I can't imagine that I am going to bring the devil energy through. This is source energy. This is divine energy that's coming through, and gave them some experiences. And we get back from lunch, and we get paired off for the rest of the day. And I got put with those two ladies. I literally had to sit with these two ladies the rest of the day and learn about essential oils together. I thought, well, they've got to have, like, the crack in the wall is if they believe that essential oils have, energy and healing. Because I think part of the class was like the healing oils of the Bible. So that was part that fit into their context.
Yeah.
But energy and stuff was not. And so we went through the rest of the day together, and when we got ready to leave, I got the biggest hugs from both of them, and they were just the sweetest, nicest people. But that confrontation on the front end, the looks on their faces, they were not happy.
Yeah.
They were not happy. But I think they just got to know me better. And I thought, that I hope I made a little crack in the wall. They don't have to have Reiki. They never has to cross their path again. But hopefully it changed their hearts a little bit, in that they're, it's a big world out there.
Yeah, you didn't sprout tails, hooves, and horns, so maybe they look
and
at
the
it a little
intention, we
differently.
talk about this all the time, but the intention behind what I do, who I am, all of that.
Yeah.
Hopefully shows, from the inside out to people. And I felt like I handled it pretty good. But boy, I was really like, kind of taken aback with how aggressive they came at me. And I wish I could remember some of the exact questions they asked me. But I guess the other two girls, because they came up to me later and they were like, you handled that so well. That was really good, And I was like, thanks. I didn't know any of these people. These are all strangers to me. So I didn't know the two girls that were, and I didn't know the two people that weren't. So that was interesting.
Do you handle things differently if it's strangers as opposed to, say, family or friends?
No.
Same thing.
I don't.
Yeah.
No, I am who I am.
That's that authenticity. Yeah. I think if you can stand in that, then you're in a better place. But I mean, I definitely have family members that I know with whom I can talk about this stuff.
Well, do you tell them what they want to hear, or do you tell them what the experience is? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, do you speak from what you know, or do you just tell them what they want to hear? It's like, I don't want to tell somebody what they want to hear.
No.
I want them to know where I'm coming from. So, I don't.
My bottom line is, well, why are you arguing this with me? Why do you care? Where's it getting you? Because not for nothing, I got 6 boxes of rocks right here, and they're whatever. I mean, why are you giving me a hard time about this? It's well, if you're going to teach classes in this, or you're going to do anything that you've got to have all the facts. Says who? What do you think I'm doing? I'm not writing a thesis here, Well, have those scientific things backed up and ready to reference and do this. That's not what I'm doing.
It's funny how different people like that. So they're very analytical.
And that's was the point of view with this person that was like, no, you've got to have all the facts. She's very research oriented and very documentation oriented, and it was just interesting. It's like, why? Why do I have to have, we're doing this in person. The people that are going to be doing this are not there to critique me and argue with me. They have some sort of an interest in this. And my whole thing is, I happen to like this particular subject. And I'm doing a lot with geology and mineralogy and learning all this other stuff. I just want to be able to share
That's the
that.
hard science. Geology, the other, like, there is some hard science on what the makeup of the crystal is, what it grows with, where the part of the earth it came out of, all of those good things. But as far as the metaphysical part of it, there's interrelational.
And that's it. Trying to show where some of that, where it all comes into play.
Yeah, it overlaps.
And it's like, this is the earth that we're walking on every day. These things are under there. And some people feel something when they touch these things or are near these things. And it's like, why can't we just kind of go with that and just have fun with it? That's it. I'm not trying to sit there and prescribe crystals, cure cancer with them, or any of this type of stuff. It's just I'm sharing an interest. I'm not teaching a religion based on this. So that's where things kind of had to get rounded out and finally put an end to things. Because man, I was tired after that. The last thing I want to do is argue with somebody that has a health condition anyways, because I'm not going to be there to end all of that. But it was just like, whoa, okay, why the forcefulness? What's going on with this?
I think for the most part, like attracts like. So in the last, since 2009 to now, like being in the Reiki community or whatever, and then having the business that brings people in, I mean, you would be a good person to tell your story of finding this place and kind of not having other people to talk to really till you came here and we're like, oh, nobody's got barriers up. We can talk about this all day long, know?
Yeah, I mean, I found out about, your business and about Reiki through Meetup, an app on the phone, and came in and was accepted into the group right away. And was encouraged to talk about the stuff that I was seeing and feeling and so forth. And that's where I started to gain more confidence in, okay, I'm not imagining things, this is happening, and using those experiences to say, I see this person standing next to you and having that wind up being true. But it's I see more of it happen, of people being more accepting to talk about it than maybe years ago. But still, when you were saying, I forget which one of you said it, but like, do you say what they want to hear, or do you give them the truth? For me, it was until recently when I had the confidence to it. I would just tell people what they wanted to hear. I wouldn't. But I'm more confident now that I can stand my ground and set my boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I think that, you know, we look back at, you know, eons ago, and just even philosophy, and how philosophy, you know, had these greater ideas in the very beginning of who are we, why are we here, what is beyond us, and what motivates us to do what we do. And you know, it wasn't going to be who's the best chariot driver and this and that. It's like, why, you know, it wasn't just the jobs back in the day. They had a bigger belief system. There was something out there. Native Americans and the spirit essences that they attribute to all sorts of different things, you know, and animals and the wind and the earth and the air and all this. It's just, why there's other stuff out there beyond us. And that's
it's
the
beyond
the physical part.
Right. It's beyond the physical. So what we
What are we
see
gonna call
and
it?
hear and touch, that's our physical. And they accepted that there was something beyond that as well.
Yeah.
Well, some did.
Someday, yeah. They had some issues in Salem with this stuff, but you know, but that was different. They had a different motivation. But yeah, that's the thing. It's just, you know, they looked at people as wise men and seers and that type of thing. It goes way back in time, which is always confusing to me when the religion part comes into it. It says, oh, no, there's no, you can't predict the future. But it talks about seers, and I can tell you where in the Bible. But so it's just interesting. I guess it's...
I mentioned before that, you know, I grew up in going to church, and I was a lay speaker, so I've done some sermons and all of that. One of the things that made me uncomfortable doing sermons is I saw people just accepting whatever I said because I was the person standing up front in the pulpit giving a message, and they were just accepting that. And it kind of goes back to what I was saying before, is like, I want you to believe something because it, you know, it resonates with you, not because I've told you to believe it.
Right. Like I have no more authority than anyone else.
Yeah, so that was one of the big reasons I eventually kind of bowed out of doing any of that, because I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't feel, it's not my position to get up here and tell you what to think about that passage in the book.
Right, yeah. Well, isn't God beyond the physical? Isn't that like the ultimate metaphysical right there? It's like, come on, people, rally around this. Angels, come on. The devil, come on. You know, this stuff is out there. So, yeah, that's always been an interesting, but, you know, metaphysical, God forbid you mention any of that stuff, and then it takes a whole new turn. So...
But going back to intention, as long as somebody has good intentions, you can kind of believe whatever you want.
Yeah.
To some extent, yeah.
I think that's it. My goal isn't out there to challenge people who don't have good intentions anyways. I think we all kind of energetically or protectively or in some way know that. And if that's coming at me, then I'm not going to be able to say anything to that person. They don't have good intent, so why engage? You know, I might at that point tell them what they want to hear and let them walk away, just because, you know, of any form of escalation or anything from there. You never know. Some of these people with their beliefs will go to extreme measures. So, but...
And one of the other notes that you had written down, like if somebody questions like whether there's ghosts or not, you know, paranormal investigation, that type of thing, I go back to what I was talking earlier of, we just probably don't have the instruments currently to measure that energy that's showing up as what we call a ghost or a spirit or whatever. You know, I as a human being can feel it, see it type of thing. But you figure we've had thousands of years to evolve into what this physical being is. You know, we just haven't created a machine to do what we've evolved over thousands of years to be able to do.
And even the machines that we do have at our disposal now, you know, I question them. I'm like,
100%.
somebody programmed that, so you know, what did the
Yeah.
programmer put in there? You know, I don't really know.
Absolutely.
So the really only true perception is ourself,
Yeah.
our senses that we can use ourself, and maybe that tries to validate what we're seeing. But you know,
Yeah.
it's a gray area there. Like, is it?
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's part of it too. It's like, I don't want to just believe what everybody tells me. I think that real metaphysicians and people that study this, you don't want to believe just what's out there. You want to experience it. And we all have different levels at which we have our own frequency and that we resonate. So some things we're not going to experience, but just because I haven't over the course of my life doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how arrogant would that be of me to say, no, I'm sorry, I devalue all your experiences.
Yeah, you're
No.
wrong.
Yeah,
You're wrong.
Exactly. You're just crazy. You're full of it. Whatever. We used to lock people up for that back century or so ago. Maybe not even that long ago. But now, I think we are getting to be more open to that, and science is, you know, catching up a little bit. Will we ever get to a place where all of this stuff is just one big, I don't know, thing? I don't know. I can't even imagine what that would look like, to have all of this stuff easily confirmable, you know? God, I can't imagine. It sounds like some kind of weird stew. I don't know. I can handle all of that. I think I'm pretty good in this between dimension, wherever we are here. But we've watched the planet changes. The planet's got energy from all sorts of different things. Why wouldn't energies change? The planet's everything. You know?
Well, it's interesting. I'm just thinking like the cross section. Like if you're taking religion, and then I thought you mentioned the Native Americans and stuff, and I thought, well, you know, in religion, there were the prophets,
right?
And then, like, let's say Native American, they had the shaman. There's just a lot of crossovers, but you're just calling it something different. Mm-hmm. So when I look at it, I'm like, okay, is there just one God or one source or one whatever creator, like whatever that is, and then the story goes out from there. And if you really listen to all the stories, the main concepts are all in there.
Yeah.
And all the different things.
Yep.
But we just call it something different, or it's in a different part of the world. I mean, there's different languages, all of that thing. So for me, I don't say that to convince anybody that that's the way it is. I'm saying for me, that's where I have a wide acceptance of people, and where I can just put my barriers down and just tell them, again, from my experience. And it's not book knowledge. I'm not telling you book knowledge. I'm not telling you the science behind it. I'm telling you my experience, which could be totally naive, right? Or I could be genius. I'm going with genius.
There you go.
I'm going with genius.
There we go.
But I'm just saying, for the most part, I have to go with my experience, even if I'm trying to tell you about something that you're asking about. It's probably going to be from my experience. You can go on the internet and look up anything nowadays, and you don't know if this person's telling you the truth. You know what I mean? So we can only, like you said, be authentic. Come from authentic.
That ties in with everything too. Because if someone says that, hey, what's it like working here in my office? Well, I can only tell them from my experience. So, you know, how come you'll believe that more quickly than some of my other stuff? You know, but I do think we're evolving, and that there is a lot more interest in this now, and people are.
We're just finding each other
by it. I think that's probably it. Yeah, you start kind of being at that frequency and the comfort level, and like you said, the confidence to be able to talk about it and be like, okay, I'm okay for talking about this. So, yeah, I think that makes a big difference in the world, and I think it is a lot more accepting.
I think we talked about this back in whichever episode about frequencies and just the range of things. And like you said, once you find your tribe, right? Like you're finding people that you resonate with, all the rest of the spectrum is still there.
Yeah.
It's just not in your stripe right now. It's not in your little area where you're at now. So they all still exist, but you're just finding more people that are
It's interesting, even in our meditation group, the people that are like newer to some of these experiences or haven't had them, and it's just so fun to see. I don't feel like I'm above or beyond them in any experiences in any way, but it's really interesting to watch how they're opening up and what is going on with them, and just kind of see that, because I haven't seen a single person yet that's scared by it or worried about it. They have this kind of brightness about them,
curiosity,
that is sparking something, and even if it's something that maybe later they don't want to be involved in, they just let that go and it's on to the next thing. And it's really interesting to see that kind of evolution too.
Like it truly is a practical metaphysical journey, perhaps.
It is, maybe it is. Wait a minute, do we know what we're talking about or what?
It was the plan all along.
We've wrapped it around. So this will be our last episode.
We have reached the end of the journey.
That's it. We're at the end. No, we're really not.
This is
plenty
just
more to say.
the beginning.
Tip of the iceberg. Yes, we got plenty more to say. But anything else that comes to mind about any of this? I mean, I think we've pretty much...
I would just say, like, advice to maybe somebody who's on the other side.
Yes.
I would say for most of us that do, Reiki or, deal with that, or, in the psychic medium or whatever, me personally, don't be afraid to ask me.
Right.
If you are curious, seek somebody out that's into that, ask and explore, like we've been saying in other episodes. Go out and explore things. Because like I said, for me, I'm not going to try to convince you one way or the other. If you have some questions, I'll tell you about my experiences and what I think, that type of thing. Don't be afraid that I'm going to get defensive right away, thinking that, you're not going to believe me or whatever.
Yeah.
I would say if you're on that other side looking at this, ask.
Yeah. And we're not trying to get anyone to join a cult, says every cult leader everywhere. But that's something. I don't have a cult going. If I did, I don't know.
But out of that, I would say the caution though is, and for me this is everybody, if somebody starts telling you what to believe, that's where I would start going, I might want to question this or back off.
That's when my bells and whistles start going off, like, wait a minute, now hold on a second.
If anyone starts being the authority on it, and this is the only way to experience this, run, don't walk.
Some people need that structure. I mean, you're telling me that, I'm like thinking of different, I'm like, because when I teach Reiki, I'm teaching it from an intuitive place versus someone that's just teaching hand positions, which both would be perfectly fine, because when I started out, I didn't want to do it wrong, so I followed the hand positions. But then as I grew and had my own experiences, then my intuition started kicking in. So like you were talking about people that are new or they're not sure and they're starting out. I would think what we're talking about is always being open to expansion and your own experiences, and it's all going to be part of a whole, like a journey. It's going to be part of the journey, and what you know and think you know today could look totally different tomorrow, next week, 5 years, a decade from now, because I am a totally different person. I just have more confidence, obviously, but so many things have happened in the last decade that I can look at to say, my answer, what somebody would have asked me then, what if they asked me again today, is going to look very different. It's going to have an undertone of the same truth. Right. But now I've got a lot of experiences to back it up where I can maybe speak more, eloquently about it.
I think that's it. If someone's saying, look, this is the only way to do it, these are my experiences, and then you'll have my experiences too. You're not going to have, nobody has those same experiences,
Well, that puts a terrible thing of being wrong on someone.
And then that's going to instigate fear and uncertainty, and if it's not there to build up confidence or make you feel comfortable. Nobody should be doing anything that's outside their comfort level, regardless of what it is. If it feels wrong, don't do it.
We're not teaching brain surgery.
Yeah,
we're having like metaphysics. Like that. Not that I'm making light of metaphysical. I'm not. But I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's meant to be an experience, don't you think? It's meant to take, not like you said, it's not just physical, it's emotional, spiritual, like it's a whole package of things. It's not just
a more holistic view.
Right, there you go. Thanks.
And it's about the journey. That's the thing. What's going to help whoever get to wherever they feel they need to be or want to be, or it's part of their journey. My journey can't be the same as somebody else's, nor should it, and vice versa. It's just you go with it and stick with whatever makes you comfortable.
Yeah, we don't all have to be Reiki practitioners. We don't to be metaphysical. Or there's a lot of things that I hear about. I'm like, oh, that's really cool, but I don't have any interest in learning it. And if I want to go experience it, I know who to go experience it from. But I don't have to learn it for me, and I don't feel like it's part of my journey.
Yeah,
that's today.
Right.
A couple years from now, that I may be like, what, I really need to just take a class in this. So yeah, that's the fun part about it is, having experiences and enjoying your journey.
Many years ago in Boston, there was a group that came, and I don't know how I heard about them or whatever, but they claimed to be some people from the Pleiades. There were star people from the Pleiades. And there were 3 or 4 people in this group, and they all wore white, and they, all this stuff, and they talked. I was pretty young and naive to all this stuff at the time, and I'm like, oh, okay, star people, well, okay. So I'm listening to some of the stuff they're saying, and now I recognize that basically what they're saying is just very blanket, vague stuff. Like someone brought up, well, a member of my family has a problem with drugs, and how can I help them? Well, sister, you have to let them choose their own path. You can't do anything about it, which, okay, fine. It doesn't help this person, and it also didn't give her any resources because I'm pretty, 3D and some of that stuff too. Well, there's a source you can call you. But it was this whole big thing. And I went the first day, and I came back, and I had a lot of questions about it. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to go to their next lecture, which was the next day, to see if they say the same stuff or what the deal was. And there were a few people in there that did. And as I watched them, it was these weird knowing looks that they were giving each other before steering conversations. So I was reading a lot of their interactions with each other and their body language. And
you're like, this is a cult.
That's yeah, exactly. And then they're like, well, and if you'd like to be able to be like us and be okay with all this stuff, then, and I'm like,
here we go.
And wait till you find out how little I have in earthly belongings.
So where was the timeshare?
My butt, right? Yeah, exactly. What geodesic dome are we meeting in, or hotel conference room somewhere that you lock the doors on us? And it was interesting because you could tell that I could tell. Just by watching the body language, they'd get asked a hard question, and there would be this little, or they'd be challenged, and you could kind of see a little redness creep up in them, and then try to fight their way back to that generic answer, and it was...
So your BS meter,
it went
your
off.
knowing was telling you.
Absolutely, it was.
That's interesting.
Whereas I could see somebody else, they're looking for this piece that supposedly is being shown up there. And
they may have found it, though.
They may have
for
found
some
it.
people, that was what they needed.
I knew.
I know we're making fun of it, but I'm,
uncomfortable that there was something not right. I had to go. You're starting to ask me to do uncomfortable things, like let this person who's suffering suffer, or do whatever. I get in the bigger scheme of things, maybe that's their life lesson. Blah blah blah. We talk about a lot of that stuff. But if you're telling somebody to not interfere with somebody who's got an issue with drugs or seizing or whatever is going on, you're that just rang so wrong to me. And step away, walk away, preserve yourself, and drop us a check or some nonsense. I'm like, So it was interesting, but that go with that. If it's uncomfortable in any way, whatever it is. Even if I'm telling you all the fun stuff about rocks, geology, crystals, and all this stuff and what they do, if it doesn't sound right to you, I wouldn't want you to be there. If it just rubs against you in some way, I'm not taking it personally. So, it's Yeah, I think that's it. Kind of be careful with some of that stuff. I think we're pretty much at the end of our discussion today, so we will wrap this up for our practical metaphysical journey of the day. Please, I hope if anybody has anything that they'd like to add conversationally and or experientially with us, please let us know. It'd be really interesting to follow up on anything that you would like to know, or anything we might have touched on, and or bring anything up to us that we need to learn. So I hope everybody just stays well and does the best that you can do for yourself, and treat everybody else kindly.